Hey there, friends and enemies. JoPa here again, and today I need to talk about a brewing controversy in the Destiny community based around the changes to how seasonal weapon and armor bonuses are going to work, including exotics, because a lot of people are upset about it, but I don't think it's as big a deal as people are making it out to be, especially for the majority of players. But first, I want to check out the gameplay footage from the Edge of Fate developer livestream for the crossbow. I haven't watched this at all. I've held off because I have been asking for a crossbow in Destiny 2 for so long, and I'm just so hyped to see it in action, and I wanted to do it for all of you guys. So let's see what they have in store for us today.
Now it is time to move on, and let's talk about some new stuff. Vivian, you have been very excited about a new weapon archetype that is coming with the Edge of Fate.
I sure am. For centuries, humanity has wondered, what would a legendary bow look like in the heavy slot? And today I have your answer.
Okay, that's so sick. A heavy crossbow is insane.
It plays like a new archetype, but it is technically a bow.
That looks gorgeous.
It's gonna fill all your bounties, that kind of stuff.
Also, any anti-barrier or whatever for bows will work with this.
Right? We want the feeling of really drawing it back and it hitting a single target and doing a ton of damage. But we do have linear fusion rifles, right? And that's always the question, is what does this do that's different? What's the fun gameplay here? And we settled on, well, when you shoot that big heavy bolt and it hits your
This
target,
has so much potential for exotics as well, by the way.
So this thing theoretically is a heavy weapon with unlimited ammo.
That's insane.
You can use the same bolt for
not against
entire
bosses
nightfall if you
though.
want. I would love to see someone do that. Go clear a dungeon without ever using anything else or whatever, It's very cool. You have to put yourself in danger, you have to go grab it, but it's just such a satisfying loop to just pull it out of some, dead hive, just put it in the rail, pull it back, use the same bolt to shoot someone else. It's great.
I saw in
I need to see some gameplay for this.
PvP playtest. I saw someone run the entire map with a single bolt, and they just kept it alive for minutes on end.
That's hilarious. I know people will hate that, but
it's like when you said infinite heavy ammo, they're like, "Excuse me,"
Yeah,
but it's you gotta go.
You gotta go get it. Yeah. So it's not free, but it is very potent.
And in PvP, you only get the one. You gotta get the headshot, and it's very funny. It ends up being like this game of keep away, where you're we cannot let Taylor get near this thing.
So as we're going into this activity, we'll get some gameplay footage. This is a good example of the portal system that we'll be talking about next week on July 1st. Make sure to tune in. But we're going to be taking some content from just
the bolt charge with it as well looks crazy.
Power progression, we'll be talking about that.
So you can see, so you have ammo still.
To the heavy crossbow, though, you were talking about this being legendary, so that means random rolls, and you had mentioned bolts.
Yes, yeah. So we had a really fun opportunity when we were making this, where we go to the talent grid, and we always want to make stuff kind of
this
new and different. And we got to the talent
pistol
grid,
right here, the hand
this
cannon
thing does
looks
not have a
insane.
magazine. We cannot put magazines on this, right? And it gave us the opportunity to really go, what would a different magazine plug system
That's a
look
sidearm, actually.
And so what we ended up going for is we have bolt types, and the bolt types, instead of just being stats, they're going to alter the way the bolt actually behaves out in the world.
Yeah.
So we've got, one of them is explosive bolt, where it's gonna put in a target, it'll beep, 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 and it'll just explode.
Oh, that's sick.
Grenade launcher, and then we have, my personal favorite is that we have serrated bolts. I remembered to say the shipping name this time.
Oh, you can say, if it doesn't have 3 names, it's not real game dev.
Yeah. I never know when things go live. I never know. I'm oh, you guys know better than I do the names.
Go ahead.
But
this is so
we have
dope.
Serrated bolts, and you can put the bolt in a target with serrated bolts, and you can normally draw them back out of living targets, but if you have serrated bolts, they're gonna deal damage on the exit too, and it is so satisfying
that's so
to,
sick.
Hit the final hit with the pull, and you just pull back your bolts and you get them, and they just go flying.
I'll take
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
When you first brought this up, I was just like, that's so metal. Gimme.
Oh, so you can see
Real
them
quick,
pretty
just
heavily.
On the topic of ammo, there are new ammo meters. Bjorn, we were going to talk about this in the firing range shooting range.
Yeah, this
but we actually have some live gameplay where we can see these meters working out. Can you talk us through what is this new system? How does it work? That kind of stuff.
Yeah, that must be a rocket sidearm.
Big shakeup in the way that ammo
I thought it was a
works
hand cannon
in
at
the game,
first, but
where in
I
the
was
past,
mistaken.
It wasn't really anything that you had too much control over, but now it is something that you have like a lot of control over and a lot of build crafting hooks to optimize or like make your own. And it almost like kind of works like an ability or like a super does now.
Okay, that's dope. I like that a lot.
Tray, you can see there below the weapons.
So that's it. That's all I wanted to see. I wanted to check out the crossbow because I feel like new weapon types are where this game can really shine. Rocket sidearms completely changed the game. Swords, Ergo Sum, when it first dropped, was really, really huge. And yeah, I just like that a lot. Now, going on to some of the other stuff they discussed in the live stream that I feel like they explained a lot, and so there was this long live stream, but it kind of just added to what we already knew, aside from the crossbow, rather than completely changing anything. But one of the things that they did talk about is how the seasonal weapons, the new weapons that you get with the Edge of Fate, will do more damage. Same thing with the armor will be better. There are certain exotics that will get the bonus as well. And I saw people upset about this. I do understand. It is like kind of taking further the artifact, which already plays into the seasonal model where you have the artifact and then all those various mods and stuff benefit that, and that's what's going to primarily drive the build crafting for the season. Same thing with the new stuff, but I feel like the new stuff has consistently been better so long, and with this soft sunsetting that we're seeing, I think it makes a lot of sense. We have a lot of outdated things in the game anyway. We have some things like a Hezin's Vengeance that has absolutely dominated the rocket launcher meta for so long. And it feels like we need to take a step forward with our loot and our I'm mostly clearing out my vault to be honest. I think it's time to not necessarily start fresh, but feel like we're starting fresh. Feel like the things that we're chasing, hopefully, and this is the key, right, is that the new weapons have to feel really good to use. They have to be exciting. But there's going to be times when a tier 2 weapon is going to be better than a tier 5 weapon. There's going to be times when an old weapon that is not the seasonal bonus modifier is going to be better than the new weapons as well. And so I think that's something to definitely keep in mind. And I feel like in Destiny, there's this big conundrum of we want new exciting stuff, but we don't want to give up our old exciting stuff. And traditionally in MMOs, that doesn't necessarily work. We see when you have new dungeons drop, your power will go up, your overall numbers will scale up. And sometimes you can bring your old stuff with you, but you have to earn the new stuff to a degree before you can do that. And some of the old stuff will eventually become obsolete. I think that's something that we need to see more of in Destiny, because it felt like you can beat pretty much everything in the game with the oldest stuff, like almost irrelevant stuff at times. And I think that's still going to be the case. And that's the other thing I wanted to bring up, is that there are very few types of activities where you need absolute meta gear, especially with all the buffs to abilities, to synergies with exotics, with prismatic. All of this leads to a situation where you're not necessarily needing, unless you're like low manning a raid, unless you're day one activity contest mode on dungeons and raids, that's the only time. And then some of the harder content maybe, but like for the most part, you can beat a Nightfall without having the most meta loadout. You can beat a Grandmaster. You can beat the dungeons, especially on more difficult settings, and it's not really going to be the most problematic for you if you don't have a perfect 5 out of 5 updated God roll. And I think that's something that the community largely misses. I'm personally a fan of sunsetting. This has been a controversial opinion of mine for a long time. I feel like 2 years should be about the limit to where how long a weapon, armor, whatever is useful. It's the same thing with the armor. I'm really excited to get the armor set bonuses because I do feel like the old armor, there was no reason to chase it in the new activities, and every time I got an armor drop in a base activity, I was incredibly bummed out. And that needed a change, and this is the way to do it. Now, is it a perfect solution? Maybe not, but I do feel like we are at the point where they need to try things and see what sticks in order to get people excited to chase the loot in a looter shooter. That is what people are missing. It's a looter shooter. You want to be able to chase the loot. You want to have desirable loot to chase. You want to have fun activities to chase it in and to use the loot that you obtain in. And then eventually you need to be driven to find new loot as well, and that just hasn't been the case in Destiny in a long time. They can drop really enjoyable storylines, but that's a one-time playthrough. They can drop fun content, but if it doesn't have the loot to back it up, it doesn't matter, and vice versa. If I have everything that I could possibly want in the game, if I have all of the gear that I need, and maybe I get a new piece of gear that gives me a minor upgrade, but it's not really all that necessary, and I got to battle RNG in order to possibly get the chance of a better upgrade, why would I do that unless I am doing that extremely hard content? I would just be a little curious what everyone else thinks as well, because I do feel like this is one of those where I know it's a divisive topic, but at the end of the day, I would be okay with every 2 years a full sunset, but this is a happy middle ground in my personal opinion, and I don't feel like using the newest weapons for the bonuses is necessarily a bad thing. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Like the video as always, comment, subscribe, have a good one, and I'll catch you all later.